All right, let's get into it. Friday night, we're talking about low light and room clearing. Now, both you and I agree that civilians really should not clear their house.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was thinking, and I should, I agree with what the statement is. Just to, to reiterate, or I'm sorry, to kind of elaborate on what Jeff was saying, guys, is if you can, in your family, your loved ones, or whoever you're in care of or in proximity to keep safe, can leave and contact the police, call 911. That's what we're recommending you do. However, I know there's circumstances and situations, especially up north, and a little bit down where I am, that have 2-level homes. And maybe there's something going on downstairs, or maybe you heard something come upstairs and you're not really sure, or you have bedrooms on both floors and you've heard something, maybe you hear a loved one screaming or breaking of glass or something like that, that you have to safely navigate your home. And that's kind of what we're talking about. We're not talking about when, I hear entry or room clearing is, we're not doing SWAT operations. We're doing basic home threshold management. You'll see mentioned in our bullet points, and angle work to keep as safe as we can in that environment until we can get to safety and call 911. That's our main objective here. Is staying safe and then contacting the authorities and professionals to take care of that.
Yeah, and to kind of touch base on that, many people think, well, I have my gun in my hand, so I'm going to be safe. But you're walking, especially talking about 2 stories or whatever, if you're walking downstairs, and first of all, if all the lights are on you, but all the bad guys are in the shadows, you're already starting in a losing position.
That's right.
Second of all, if you're going down with a gun in your hand and a flashlight, but you don't know how to use it, you could be walking into a bad situation. Now, as much as I feel that, yes, you should call the police, let the police handle it, do that, there are times that my wife heard something and she said, you got to go check the house. And if I don't check the house, we're not going to get back to sleep that night. No, she's going to be like, get your ass downstairs and check the house.
100%.
So, of course, I grab the firearm, I grab the flashlight and go into it. So what we want to do is we want to educate people that if there is a time that you really need to do it, take precaution and do it the right way for everybody's safety. Don't walk into a trap. 100%. So I know you're going to be talking about using the angles, slicing the pie, as they call it. You're going to be talking about using a flashlight and the different ways to carry a flashlight.
Sure.
And I don't want to give the answer out now, but I know you and I both agree that there's a reason why putting a flashlight mounted to your firearm may not be the best answer for home protection, home safety. Right. So we'll talk about that in that class, get people into the class for that. But there's so many different ways to hold a flashlight. And again, here, many people are at the range shooting 2-handed, may now have to shoot 1-handed with a flashlight. And that may throw people off. So sticking with Friday night, give us some of the other bullet points you're going to be talking about.
Jeff, I'm gonna hit right on pick up right where you left off. Is not only 1-handed with a flashlight, or maybe it's 1-handed since we're talking about room clearing, checking behind a curtain, checking behind a door, opening a door, maybe calling 911 while you're waiting. And that's all 1-handed work that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what we call in law enforcement and the military, in other places, I'm sure I've used the term OODA loop, how stress affects us. And that's what we're going to talk about with live fire, is how it affects us. You'll notice we, have the bullet points of footwork, putting our body into a good shooting platform, utilizing cover, concealment, barrier, or barricade, that being the threshold, thus the term threshold management. The slicing of the pie was made really, I'll say, famous or popular with the Israeli Defense Force, the Israeli 7-meter sidestep, it used to be called way back in the day. We're going to touch on that, and you'll see the term limited penetration, meaning not just running into a room that I haven't cleared as much as I can from the benefit of cover, concealment, or barrier of the leading edge of the doorway, for example. And as you mentioned, I'm going to even hit a real brief overview on putting on a tourniquet. I think anybody that carries a firearm or has a firearm in their home, it's good, solid sense to be able to stop traumatic bleeding, and heaven forbid it happens somewhere else or to a loved one of yours, that we should at least do that basic thing. And so we're going to try to cover the gamut, but we're not going to do a lot of quantity. We're going to strive for quality of solid concepts and principles of basic home defense, room clearing.
Okay. Well, I think that is fantastic. I know every time that I go through this training with you, even though I'm kind of assisting you with teaching and training with it, I'm learning so much from it. And it's just, even if I'm relearning stuff, it's just reestablishing it in my mind, in my thought process. You know, I moved into a new home recently, and the layout of the home is totally different than my other home. We've gone from 2 floors to a single floor ranch, and now it's a different setup. So I'm relearning that, and I'm thinking in my mind, okay, where's my cover? Where's my concealment? Where's my angles? Where could somebody be? So I think that's a fantastic class, and I could see this being a must-see or must-take class for everybody. I mean, if they're buying a firearm for protection and yet they don't take this class, they're not taking the proper steps to properly use that tool in a situation.
Well, and that's kind of what we kicked this off, starting about, you know, the range is certainly needed, necessary. Please don't give it up. And if you're not going to the range, you need to get there. But when Jeff's talking about angles, say something's happening around your car. Jeff mentioned vehicles earlier. There's angles and movement around a car that you can still utilize, at least have some kind of cover or concealment available to you. Or, you know, something happens not at your home. But these things can be, you know, what Jeff's saying is we want you to have concepts and principles that allow you to be a critical thinker in some of these situations. And that's our goal with everything that we're going to do, but especially when we're talking about that room clearing class. And I couldn't say it any better, Jeff. I think it's almost mandatory, if you can say that word, that if you're going to have a weapon for home protection, that you learn how to navigate your home in a safe manner in order to protect.
Well, we can say it's mandatory. We have that right.
Okay, we can say that. But I think it's, you know, if you want to, you know, if you're going to, you know, try to not try, but have a firearm for personal or loved one protection, then you need to know how to do it not only effectively with the tool, but safely, so you can maintain, you know, that critical, like I said, that critical thinking in order to do such under stress. So I think it's going to be a great class. I know it's going to be a great class, and you know, like you said, I just can't say enough about. That's probably one of the most important classes of the weekend. So
yeah, I agree.
They're all important. They're all going to be great. So if you can make them all, man, we'd be happy. If you can make one, I might stress that you come to that one because it's going to be a great one.